In 1989, Gracie Films and 20th Television premiered The Simpsons television series, which grew to have a cast of thousands. In 1999, Toei Animation launched the anime adaptation of the popular manga series One Piece, which also has a cast of thousands. Now, in 2024, two hosts have made it their goal to cast a Simpsons character for every One Piece character.
I'm Janine Juliet.
And I'm Luke Hare.
Are you afraid of... Oh, wait, this is DohMance Dawn.
Ahoy there, and welcome back to DohMance Dawn.
Now hold on.
Uh-huh.
Is that the theme music you use every time, or did Dylan do that bespoke just for this appearance?
Dylan did that bespoke just for this appearance.
Dylan is addicted to giving himself more projects. That is, because as it started, I was like, wait, did Dylan rip off our theme song from the DohMance Dawn crew? Like, and I've just never known? I was about to be like, Dylan, you have to disclose this stuff to me. I didn't know you were just ripping off work you had already done for another podcast.
The Dylan and Luke conspiracy is deep and long. Because if you offer to kill a person for Dylan, he remembers that. He also did that really good Pokemon theme song for a podcast that Janine and I used to do.
I think he's doing the theme song for another podcast that someone in our Discord started. And I'm like, bro, you got to write a movie that we're taping in 1 week.
I mean, Roxanne from the Discord did an entire movie in about 1 week. And it was great.
True, yeah. You guys in the Discord are outpacing us regularly.
Hello, welcome to the context for this episode. I am Luke. This is DohMance Dawn. I am joined by my lovely, wonderful co-host Janine, who is not going to have a third thing to say about herself. I use he, him, sometimes they, them. Janine, would you like to get a word in edgewise?
Oh, right, yes. My name is Janine Juliet. My pronouns are she, they, and I don't have a third thing to say. And we are also joined by a guest you've already heard, I suppose. Could you introduce yourself in the way that you'd like to be introduced?
Hi, I'm Dalton Deschain, he, they, and maybe I wasn't supposed to talk yet, but you kind of baited me into it with that theme song.
Thank you. That was my goal. I like to do some extra work. I like to bring friends in, especially when I am a fan of the work that you do. I am most familiar with your work on the B69s, where I think I am one of the top listeners on YouTube Music.
Probably. I think that's probably true.
Your work on Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe with Dylan and Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my shirt on right now, but I could change if needed, but this is radio, essentially.
Yeah.
And then you also do comics writing with Monocle, and also you have Dalton Deschain and the Traveling Show.
Yes, I have a band called Dalton Deschain and the Traveling Show, and we have an EP coming out this fall.
So if you like spooky tuned music, check that out.
If you like spooky punk rock that is dancey and catchy, that's what we do.
Hell yeah. And then if you still don't know what the show is, and Dylan didn't explain it enough at the top, you're kind of fucked at this point. I'm just going to say that. DohMance Dawn, we have a new arc starting. We have Thriller Bark that is going to bring us into the spooky summer. And as this is the start of a new arc of the show, we wanted to bring in a guest, and so we brought in a connoisseur of the spooky and the macabre, which I think, Dalton, you fill that role very well.
I would hope I qualify. I am not, however, a connoisseur of anime. This is all very new to me.
Mm-hmm. That was actually going to get me to the next questions for you. What is your background with The Simpsons?
So The Simpsons, I am not as well versed as your average Twitter user who can quote any joke at any time of day, although I am jealous of them. When I was a kid, I was not allowed to watch The Simpsons. because my parents were both teachers, and they would have kids come in like and quote Bart or something and be troublemakers and call people bastards or something, and they were like, oh, that show's not appropriate. But what I was allowed to do, the case in my household was there were a lot of things I wasn't allowed to watch, but I could buy any book in the bookstore that I wanted. It didn't matter how adult. My parents were just happy I was reading. So I did own several Simpsons episode guides for different seasons, and I would read those in lieu of watching The Simpsons. And then at a certain point, I think I just had The Simpsons on one day when I was like probably 12 or something. And my mom tried to stop me, and my dad was like, it's fine. And then from then on, I guess it was just fine. And so I've gone back and caught up on a lot of the classic seasons. I saw The Simpsons movie in theaters when it came out. My last, I guess, couple decades of knowledge at this point, probably not too good. But all throughout, like from like, I would say like 12 to 18, I watched The Simpsons pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also grew up with those same episode guides that my brother ended up getting. And that was actually, I've read those more times than I've seen most of those episodes.
I love episode guides. My dad also had one for the Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone run. Ooh. And I have the one for Mystery Science Theater 3000. I love reading through those things.
Same. I got one for Lupin the Third that covers like all of the series, and except for some editorial issues with spelling and grammar and stuff, it is a very well put together piece. It feels weird to say, except for these basic writing things that it failed to do well, but yeah.
As long as the content's there.
Mm-hmm. And then this was, like you said, you were very new to anime, but this was also your first experience with One Piece. Did you have any cultural knowledge going in about One Piece?
I know it's a thing. I have heard about it a lot. I did not know going into this, like, is this a children's show? Is it like a very adult, violent one? I did not know anything like that. I recognized the Straw Hat Boy with the vest, and I think he was the only character I recognized from like just pop culture. And yeah, I literally knew nothing going into this.
Well, as a New Yorker, I mean, now you have to be worried on Thanksgiving. You might just see Luffy out there as a Thanksgiving Day parade float.
That's true. You know what? I think I have seen him in the Macy's parade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Last year, I believe, was his first or second year in it.
Yeah, I remember that, and just knowing that he was some anime fellow.
Mm-hmm. One Piece is big. It has been running for 25 years now as a anime, or as a manga.
Is it still running?
Yeah. The creator is getting closer to the end, but it is wild to say that this is an arc that, again, introduces a bunch of stuff that would become relevant in like 10 more years of the series.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Like, this is what Claremont would have done had he been forced to write a weekly series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which I'm glad he wasn't, but...
Yeah. Because Claremont was a lot weirder about his horniness in comics than I think Oda is.
Yes, although there was some weird horniness in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to come on the podcast and be a buzzkill. I don't want to be too harsh. But one of my first reactions watching this was, has this man ever seen a woman?
Mm-hmm.
The women in this do not look like any human woman I have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
They look like Slender Man with jugs. And I say jugs not to be crude, but because that's what they have. Those are they are, yeah, it is very strange to see the women in this. And then one of them does get molested in the middle of the arc, which was a little surprising given how the rest of it seemed to have more of a child-friendly tone.
Yeah, you're not wrong. This is a weird arc. Also, Oda is a tits man. It wasn't until like 2 years ago that he was like, you know what? Asses can be great too. But also,
the thing is, like, tits are great, but like there are more body parts than the tits. You know, like they have to also have the rest of their body. A woman can't be just tits, Oda.
Mhm. Yeah, and part of that is the animation studio that does this at the time. Like, there has been a extremification of the designs as it has gone on, for better and for worse and for hornierness. But also, Oda is a very basic horny guy, is how I'm going to put that, because he married a model who he met when she was dressed as Nami.
Okay.
So like, yeah, he is not afraid to be horny on main, and he would have probably been canceled had he ever had a Twitter account.
Look, I want to be clear. I'm not coming at him trying to cancel him or to cancel One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
It was just alarming as someone diving in cold to the series.
Mm-hmm.
But I acknowledge that I'm missing another at least 350 episodes before this of context that maybe explains why these women are 90% boobs.
Horniness.
That's just it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well,
actually, I was talking about it on the Discord for our show, and I was thinking that I can't see these characters as me and you kind of humans. I kind of have to see them as like Muppets, but inside of their own Muppet version, like it's a Muppet Baby situation.
At one point I was like, well, you know, this is anime. They could be like maybe not human. Maybe they are a different species of very humanoid, of spindly humanoid spider women with, you know, just the normal number of arms and legs, but and then the boobs for some reason. But you know, but it does sound like they are intended to be human.
Yeah. Most of them. I mean, there's non-human races in this too, but this is the spooky arc. This is Oda is a big fan of Tim Burton and uncredited Henry Selick. So, or undercredited Henry Selick.
Yes.
These episodes initially ran between January 6th and February 10th of the year 2008. So, I was still in high school back then.
Yeah, I was just about to graduate.
Same.
This would have caught me just before my 18th birthday.
The 2 episodes of Simpsons that ran during this time were E Pluribus Wigum, where Springfield moves their primary up for a bond issue, and as a result, they have the first presidential primary, and the town becomes filled with news people. The citizens of Springfield get tired of it, so they decide to endorse Ralph Wiggum. The media takes it seriously. Both parties decide to endorse him, and then Wiggum decides to run, and there's no actual conclusion. Considering this would have been before Obama got elected, what a weirdly bad political take.
Well, it was really shocking how it just kind of ended. I was really expecting there to be like another 10 minutes. You know, this is if this were on my podcast, we would say that this episode has a third act problem. And it just sort of, there's I almost wondered like, because I don't think I'd seen these episodes before. I think I was very sort of watching The Simpsons kind of spotty at this point, but I almost wondered, like, oh, does this come back later in the season? I know The Simpsons doesn't really do that, but, like, are they going to have some sort of, like, running bit about Ralph running for president throughout the season? But I don't think that's the case,
No,
as far as I could see.
they just ignore it. They tried to do some light, but also frustratingly still relevant political commentary. There's not like depth to anything. But it's like, yeah, no, all of these people still suck. But yeah, no, it just ends with Ralph going to run for both parties, and that's the end.
And the end, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then the credits roll.
Janine, do you have anything to add for this one?
It is very frustrating to see this and to kind of like know what the political landscape is going to look like in the future. There are a couple of jokes in there that were a little bit too evergreen. Also, was it this episode that introduced the joke that Bill Clinton was the worst president we've ever had? There will never be a worst one.
No, I think that was actually the second one. I think that happens in because they're talking about it in the 90s, and so Bush hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, though E Pluribus Wigum is the one that has him having to pick up trash, and he gets yelled at by Hillary on the phone.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm a huge Ralph Wiggum stan. I am. Mm-hmm. If Ralph Wiggum has shooters, I'm one of them. I'm on there on Twitter, name searching him and defending my boy from all the haters. He was my favorite character, even like as a kid. But he doesn't even really have his best lines in this episode. This isn't even peak Ralph Wiggum content, even though he's sort of nominally the center of the episode.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
I think his ending political speech, "I'm Ralph Wiggum and I've been a good boy."
That is very good.
Mm-hmm. That is some good Ralph. And
and I think that's why it hurts even more when it ends, because he gets such a strong hit there at the end, and then it cuts off before there's more. But that's a good line.
It needed a call to action of some point at the end. Otherwise, because it just ends with, well, we should all unite on the things that we can agree on, and instead it's just like, well, Ralph's in charge. Ralph is going to win this election.
Yeah, it should have ended with Matt Groening looking into the camera and telling us to vote or to write in Ralph Wiggum on our presidential ballots and start a massive write-in campaign for Ralph.
He's not Bullwinkle J. Moose, Dalton. They can't do that anymore. The second one was That 90s Show, where the kids find out that Marge went to college in the 90s. Homer goes to work for Abe at the laser tag arena to help Marge pay for college. And then Marge starts to have fantasies about her professor and grows distant, especially when her professor helps to push her and Homer apart. Homer catches them and then creates a grunge band called Sadgasm. This leads to Homer and Marge breaking up, and then Marge eventually realizes the professor just sucks, and she sees a song that Homer wrote proving that he still loves her. Sadgasm breaks up because of Homer's Frappuccino addiction, and Marge rushes to reunite with him and help him out, and then they hook up. And this was one of those where I had stopped regularly watching The Simpsons at this point, and I know this was I can't believe they're retconning Marge and Homer, and it's like, okay, that's fine.
It's fine.
Baby on board didn't happen, except when it did, continuity means nothing.
Yeah, Simpsons continuity especially is meaningless.
The biggest thing for me is that the Sadgasm songs aren't good. Like, they're all pretty on-the-nose bad parodies.
Yeah, and then they parody it again with Weird Al. It would have been nice to have maybe a more original song for Sadgasm to sing.
Yeah, I was never the biggest grunge person. It's like, I recognize like 3 out of these 4 songs. Then I looked up the last one. It's like, if I admit to not knowing this one, I'll lose my white boy into rock music card.
The crazy thing to me in this episode is how long they let you believe that Homer was doing heroin. It's not that long. Like, it's really probably only like a minute of the show, but like there's a long scene where like, Marge sees him with the needle in his arm and she gets it out and he's like, no, I need it. And then of course the joke, the next scene is that it was insulin because he was diabetic and he actually did need it. But for like a pretty substantial scene, I was like, are they really gonna make it canon that Homer was addicted to heroin in the 90s? They can't do that, can they?
He's not Lou Reed. He's a corporate brand.
Yeah, like, I know Simpsons is like, adult animation, but that seems like a line that I've never seen The Simpsons cross, of being like, yeah, this character of ours, one of our main characters, was a heroin addict,
Thanks, Disney. Yeah, it's one of those where it's like they do some jokes and it just kind of passes. It's not one of the better ones that we have, but it's definitely far from some of the worst ones that we've had.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lots of 90s needle drops,
Yeah, that was something. And we get a bunch of 90s designs, and importantly, we are now able to use Amy Rose from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, insane Amy Rose cameo in this one.
Mm-hmm. It's time for the Amy Rose Watch.
Is this a segment?
That had been
he does this.
Okay.
We used to have the Sexy Cat Marge Watch, and then I've just left the button up there, and the button is also in the Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe Discord as well.
Well, now it can be it can also be the Big the Cat Watch, to sort of combine the two.
Fair. I don't know if Big the Cat ever shows up on The Simpsons.
We had Yami Yugi show up.
We did, but Yami Yugi is eternal. I mean,
I'm gonna Google right now if Big the Cat ever shows up on The Simpsons.
Let us know. Other characters we can actually use now include Jon Stewart, Vincent Aleppo, Dumont Evans, Martha's husband, Senator Weiner Girl, Marvin Cobain. The Marvin Cobain joke was solid.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like
Professor,
the Marvin, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Professor Moose, Bald Eagle, Big and Tall Halloween Costume, and many more. Are we getting Big the Cat?
Big the Cat, it does not look like has ever been in The Simpsons. Now, has the Big the Cat ever appeared in One Piece?
That would be more surprising.
I am getting lots of big cats.
Yeah, there is a massive cat man who loves to sleep, loves lasagna, and hates Mondays.
Okay. That sounds familiar to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is 100% a Garfield riff.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing him. Is his name Nico Mamushi?
Mm-hmm. That is him. All right. Well, that gets us into the One Piece episodes, 337 through 342, and these include Venture into the Devil's Sea, the mysterious skeleton floating through the fog.
But in light of having met people, the gentleman skeleton's true colors.
One phenomenon after another, disembarking at Thriller Bark.
The man called a genius. Hogback appears.
Nami in Big Trouble, the Zombie Mansion, and the Invisible Man.
Mystery of the Zombies. Hogback's Nightmarish Research Laboratory.
I can't wait to turn Mystery of the Zombies into a soundboard button. Yeah. Whenever Dylan is like, yeah, we're going to do Night of the Living Dead. And
that would be
we're
good.
Going to and then we just keep slamming that button. Ah, wonderful. So, while the crew is hanging out on the ship, they find a offering barrel floating in the ocean, which they reel in, and when they open it up, expecting to find food and booze, fireworks shoot up into the sky, which summons a massive thunderstorm. Surrounded by fog and thunder, they realize that they have sailed into the mysterious Florian Triangle. We also get a bunch of just shenanigans that, because of the filler that we had in the last arc where it was like, this is how our new aquarium kitchen works, I was not bringing up except to mention it just there. But you get a very weird picture of the Straw Hat Pirates, Dalton, with just like 10 minutes of octopus problems.
Yeah, this first episode, I would not say welcomed me in. I mean, look, I have to put this out there again. I don't want to be harsh. I don't want to be mean. You've invited me on your lovely podcast. I know One Piece is important to many people. It is a cultural institution at this point that has run for many, many years. I have to be honest. Mm-hmm. I really hated this show.
Did you watch sub or dub?
I watched dub because... So, what was weird was Netflix did not have this arc when I went on there. Unless I was looking in the wrong place. But I went on Netflix and they had so much One Piece. But then there were like 3 seasons that showed up, but when I selected them, they would just freeze and not show me any episodes. So I don't know if it's a problem on the app or if they don't have stuff.
I had the same thing happen, actually, when I was trying to use the Apple TV and to get back earlier in the season, so...
Okay, maybe it's an Apple TV thing. So I ended up watching on Hulu, and Hulu, as far as I could see, only had the dub. Mm-hmm. And so... A lot of shows, when I don't like them, it's just like, okay, this isn't for me. It's not grabbing me, it's not blah, blah, pacing or whatever. This one was a little nails on the chalkboard for me because it's so much screaming and it's so much big faces and just it seemed like it really wanted me to laugh, but it wasn't telling me any jokes. It was just showing me a lot of big faces, and then someone would yell at me, and everyone was shrieking and running around and crying, and it was aggressive. It was really aggressive to me. And as I said earlier, I have very little anime experience. Almost none. I've wanted to get into anime. I've wanted to find my way in. So this might just be me not being familiar with the form, me not knowing the quirks of it. But I turned the volume way down and was really kind of wincing my way through it.
The dub is a lot more screamy than the sub is.
Okay, the dub was like all screams. I don't think there were like the character that smokes the cigarette talked at a normal volume.
Sanji, yeah.
Everyone else was yelling.
Also, you do not need to feel bad. We had fellow New York musician Jay Ackley come on for another arc, though he came on for a pure filler alternate universe arc and also did not like it. So not being sold on the show, you do not need to feel bad. This was also, I was hopping around on the One Piece Reddit and people were like, yeah, no, Thriller Bark has a really rough beginning.
The thing that got me, I was really grateful that Luffy is his name, right? Is it Luffy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That he was barely in like the back half of this arc. Yeah. Because he's the screamiest. I put it on my Blue Sky that he is a bastard. He belongs in dog hell. I did not want to hear that boy's voice. And the skeleton man with the afro, his yo ho ho was like someone punching me in the face every time. It was yo ho ho ho. I hated it. I needed, and then he goes away too. So that was great. The back half, despite the like sexual assault that happens, was much easier to watch, I would say, than the first half.
Yes. I did enjoy your Blue Sky post of, if I ever see this little dipshit in my city, it's on site.
Yeah. Luffy, you better not show your face in Manhattan, except at the Macy's. You get a pass at the Macy's parade, but other than that, I don't want to see your little dumb face around here.
So, speaking of Brook, a massive ghost ship with a mysterious singing voice floats alongside the Thousand Sunny, and on board they see a living skeleton with a massive afro. Luffy is excited to meet the skeleton and immediately invites him, Brook, to join the crew. Brook dresses like a gentleman, but is in fact very rude and very gross. He should be reported to Human Resources. Because he only asks women to see their panties once, but he asks every woman.
Yeah. Also, like, it seemed like maybe that was a laugh. Like again, I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to laugh in these, but it seemed like the panties thing was a moment of comedy, but also weird comedy for. I believe this is am I wrong that this is a children's show?
It is teens. It is
okay.
Like 10 and up is the intended audience.
Okay.
That's fucking weird still.
Yeah. It is very much a, what is the joke here? Brook gets started off with some fucking rough chuckles. Like, he gets better. But yeah, like the comedy in these parts don't really land, and I'm not sure if it's like we've got a new team and a new director and it's just not working. There are some solid bits, but we'll cover those when we get to them. Janine, how are you feeling about Brook at this point?
I like a skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
I love a skeleton man. I don't know. I don't know, because just like no other character has just been dropped inside of the crew and just like picked up like that fast. I mean, I guess like maybe Sanji. No.
Sanji, we got his arc. We had him resist joining the crew, and then he kind of had to.
Yeah. It feels like that all happens in one episode, but it doesn't.
We just used to have much shorter arcs. Brook is canonically the only member of the Straw Hat Pirates who is seen smoking weed.
He is?
Hell yeah.
Not here, but yes,
Okay.
He does smoke a big blunt. So now there is a bunch of merchandise of Brook smoking joints.
Okay,
I love that.
That makes sense. I was, and again, I'm very new to One Piece, but I was shocked at how fast Luffy was just like, "Hey, do you want to be a main cast member?" To the point where I thought maybe I was misunderstanding what was happening. But I guess he's just a very welcoming young lad.
It's more, he is a asexual monster fucker.
Ah, I see.
He just wants to hang out with monsters and cool things because he is essentially a child at heart, but also a child who is capable of toppling governments.
Is he he's a child at heart? Is he a child at body?
He's like, I believe he's 17 or 18 at this point.
Okay, because he's jacked, and I was like, that would be a jacked little kid, but I did not get any sort of age from him other than the yelling and stuff, which seemed kind of juvenile.
You know, I don't think they've diagnosed like ADD or ADHD in the One Piece universe, so I think that could be part of it. Very bad impulse control.
I saw a hat on Twitter yesterday. Someone posted a picture of a hat that just said undiagnosed, but pretty sure. And I feel like that would be a good hat for Luffy to have, I think.
Yeah. So, So Usopp tries to banish Brook, believing him to be an evil spirit, but it doesn't work because Brook isn't actually a ghost. He ate the revive fruit, which brought him back to life after he died. But while his pirate crew had died off, his spirit got lost along the way to return to his body, which in the time that it took him to return had turned into a skeleton. But also he has no shadow or reflection for other reasons. He goes on to explain that his shadow has been stolen, which means he can't go into the sunlight, and so the fog is the only place that he can stay, or else he will turn to ash.
Okay, but I do want to... Sorry to jump in. But there is a part where he's explaining that he can't cast a shadow. And to illustrate this point, they cut to him like being blinded by the sun. And he's casting a shadow. The light is going around him.
Oh, there are some inconsistencies in this art. Zoro famously lost one of his 3 swords in the past arc, and he has not actually gotten a replacement for it, but they keep showing him with 3 swords.
Okay. I mean, look, it's weekly television. They gotta pump these out.
They've done over 1,000 episodes of this show.
Yeah. I forgive them.
I will let Toei know. The rest of the crew died, but he is still optimistic, partially because he kind of has gone insane from the loneliness and being haunted by the memories of his old crew, which is wild. Also, how this is going to tie back into some previous continuity from the show, from like the past 300 plus episodes, is going to be some wild shit. Brook also then declines the offer to join the crew until he can get his shadow back, because he doesn't want anyone else to be endangered if they find out the name of the person who stole his shadow. And then because he is a musician, he offers to play, but he is stopped when he sees a ghost on the ship. Also, musician is one of the roles that Luffy has been trying to find and fill for his pirate crew, because you gotta have a musician, Dalton.
You need a bard. If you're going to have a well-rounded D&D group, you definitely need a bard.
Yes. Also, I forgot to ask this earlier. What member of the Straw Hat Pirates would you say would be the best in the Dark Legion?
Oh, boy. This is tough because I don't know any of their names. But we don't have a cute little animal sidekick, and so I would say the little animal guy.
That's Chopper.
Yeah, I would say, like, if the Legion is missing anything, it's like Hunter needs like a little animal pal to like follow them around, and I think they would make a good addition.
Fair. Also, Chopper is a doctor, so
there you go. So he and Victor would have a lot to talk about.
Wonderful. So after the ghost appears, the Thousand Sunny starts shaking, and the crew finds that they passed through the gates of a massive ship, Thriller Bark, which also doesn't register on the log pose. Brook then runs across the water to the main island and warns the Straw Hat Pirates to try and escape, and Luffy instead wants to go to the island to catch the ghost and to help Brook. The crew then get distracted when Frankie shows off the mini ships that he has built. Nami, Chopper, and Usopp take one of them, the Mini Mary 2, for a spin and soon vanish onto the island. The rest of the crew are more concerned when the Thousand Sunny mysteriously drops anchor and a mysterious invisible force starts messing with things on the ship and also does a sexual assault. Do not lick women if you are invisible. We are dealing with a evil invisible man here, Dalton.
Wait, there was... Okay, I'm going to be honest. I missed this part. I didn't even see this assault. I thought there was just the one sexual assault. I didn't know it happened twice.
Oh, no, there is a scene where the Invisible Man straight up licks Robin's entire, top half.
Okay, so full disclosure, and you can fire me from the guest spot if you need to. But as I said, my first dip into One Piece was a little shocking. And I did pull out Balatro for a little bit while it was on. But... by episode 4 of the arc, I was determined to pay focused attention to be ready for this podcast. So I think I was probably, deciding between a few different jokers or something while that first assault was happening.
Hey,
Maybe glad I missed that one.
Balatro is a perfectly reasonable excuse.
Am I pronouncing it wrong? Is it Balatro?
I've also probably pronouncing it wrong.
I honestly don't know. I've never heard the word before.
If you are unfamiliar with Balatro, it is a roguelike deck building poker game, and it is very addictive.
It's great. But do not play it and watch One Piece. That is irresponsible viewing behavior. One or the other.
Yeah, and don't play it when you should be working on your computer because you are trying to deal with the depression about your job being very unsatisfying. That is also bad behavior.
I actually think that's the intended scenario for that game. I think you're actually doing it right.
So, Nami, Usopp, and Chopper consequently get thrown off the Mini Mary 2 and fall into a moat that is running around the massive ship. That is where they find a three-headed zombie Cerberus that attacks them, chasing them into some creepy woods. That is where they meet Hildon, a vampire-like guy who invites them to the mansion to meet Dr. Hogback, a famous doctor who vanished and whose work Chopper is familiar with. And I do really enjoy how they continue to do one thing that Oda does beyond being horny is try and add a lot of diversity. So even the background minions are all different types of freaks.
Yeah, lots of little freaks in here, and I love a little freak. Also love the name Dr. Hogback. That is just it's an ugly name in the right way. Great for your sort of villainous vampire guy. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Out of curiosity, well, I'll ask that when we get there. So as they travel by carriage, they see more strange creatures on the island who seem to quickly vanish. And as that trio becomes more afraid, they eventually decide they would rather return to the shore. So Hildon leaves the carriage to talk to the driver, but actually just abandons them in the graveyard. That is when zombies begin to rise, turning over the car, biting Usopp, and sending the trio on the run. Though Usopp does find out that the zombies are sentient, they are able to communicate, they are afraid of fire, and they easily get winded. It does a very good job of, oh yeah, these are a threat, but also you can kind of laugh at them. It's not over-encompassing fear.
Yeah, which... Again, where I was I'm not really quite sure the age demographic, because it does a good job for children's show kind of thing of yeah, these things are scary, but they're not too scary. They're also kind of funny and kind of goofy until one of them attacks someone in the shower. And so, it's just, it was very up and down.
Yeah, well, we'll get to them soon enough. The rest of the crew tries to sail the Thousand Sunny towards the shore, but instead they get caught in a massive spider web. When the trio of cowards reaches the manor, they meet Sindri, a woman with mysterious scars and a grudge against plates, who immediately just chucks 10 plates at Usopp because she says that he wasn't invited to the mansion. She is stopped by the arrival of Dr. Hogback, who Sindri also doesn't like. Did either of you get who Dr. Hogback is a design reference to?
Oh, geez. No. I missed it.
Janine.
Dr. Frankenfurter?
No. We get that character in a few more arcs. Danny DeVito's the Penguin in Batman Returns.
Okay. I also get the Frankenfurter thing, though, because of the fishnets. He was sort of very strangely wearing a sort of fishnet pattern. But yeah, I can see the Penguin.
Mm-hmm. There's a very what people consider Tim Burton-y vibe to the zombies and a lot of the stuff here.
Yeah, for sure.
So Hogback invites them in and denies knowing anything about the zombies, pretending that he wanted to learn more about them so he can master immortality, which Chopper supports. Chopper asks Hogback for his signature, which he happily provides, but when he asks for a tour, he is turned down harshly. Usopp asks Hogback if he has seen Brook, and Hogback lies about being unfamiliar. And then when Nami goes to take a bath while Chopper and Usopp stand guard, Nami reveals that she has figured out that Hogback is lying about not knowing about the zombies or Brook. And then while she is taking a shower, an invisible man, Absalom, attacks her. And that is when Chopper and Usopp come in to check. Nami kicks the invisible man in the balls, just like in the Dark Universe, and he runs out.
Yeah, we didn't know we were ripping off One Piece, but apparently we have been the whole time.
I mean, I, as a joke, will repeatedly say, just like in One Piece, but One Piece goes a lot of places that the Dark Universe has also gone into.
We just can't stop plagiarizing, I guess. One Piece was really the Dark Universe, I guess, before the Dark Universe even existed.
The sexual assault is just a very weird scene
It sucks,
to put
dog.
in.
It sucks. Like, I gotta tell you, watching that, like, stuff's been borderline, but it's been, like, negligible because it's never been, like, something this big. This scared the shit out of me, really.
Yeah, it is full on. Nami has no idea what is happening, actively feels threatened, can't call for help, and is left in a completely powerless position. Like, we had a horny battle last arc, or the last full arc, and it's like, yeah, that was kind of fun because it was more balanced, it was silly, but this is just like, needs some women editing Shonen Jump there, Oda.
And I think one of the things that makes it worse is like the fact that it's sort of counterbalanced by just an ongoing fart joke by the other characters.
Yeah.
Like, which maybe is meant to like lighten the mood. Maybe, again, that's sort of like, this is scary, but it's not too scary because we also have a fart joke conversation. But it just kind of feels like the show is not taking any of this seriously. Like, it's all just like, oh, it's a goofy show. And, you know, we talk about farts and also someone gets assaulted, you know? Like, it's a very weird... it feels like salt in the wound to be also making the most lowbrow fart joke possible at that moment.
Though salt in the wounds will also be relevant in this arc. Back at the Thousand Sunny, the crew goes into the front gate and finds themselves in the moat that the cowardly trio had entered before, but when they run into Cerberus, they aren't afraid, and Luffy decides to try and tame it. The Cerberus tries to eat him, so he instead smashes it, and then he's able to ride it. And as they wander out into the woods, they see more of the monsters and work to catch them, which it does a great job saying, oh yeah, here's the two different power levels of the party and how they would react to things. Which is a...
True.
Yeah.
We spent so much time with that one trio, I had forgotten about the rest of the party altogether.
And they're just speed running this mission.
Yes, absolutely.
So back at the castle, Absalom, the Invisible Man, meets with Hogback and a ghost who is speaking for a mysterious figure named Perona. Absalom wants Nami as his bride, but they are told instead to focus on catching all of the Straw Hats for their bounties. Usopp, meanwhile, decides to deny anything weird is happening, and since Chopper is also in denial about Dr. Hogback being connected to the weird things on the island, they go to try and confront Dr. Hogback, which is, again, not great for, hey, Nami got assaulted in the bathroom. We kind of need to approach this, and instead it is like, oh, well, nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
So when they return to the dining room, they find Hildon waiting for them in the dark, and he tries to get them to go into their guest rooms. But because they've been too aware of the zombies and what's going on, the furniture, which is also zombies, starts to activate, trying to capture all of them. Usopp, knowing they are afraid of fire, starts chucking candles at the surprise zombies. and they try to escape, only to find the doors locked. They luckily find a trap door and escape through the fireplace, eventually ending up in Dr. Hogback's secret shrine to Victoria Sindri, a famous actress who died 10 years ago in an accident. That's when they realize Sindri is also a zombie, like almost everything else on the island. And then Usopp stumbles onto a treasure chest and they get chased out because that treasure chest is also another zombie.
So, question here about the Sindri thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, we find out that the story that Hogback told about who she was is not true.
Mm-hmm.
That she was actually this actress. So, do we find out why she had the plates? What her actual deal with the plates is?
Yes.
But that's later?
Yeah, we're going to be in this arc for a while.
Okay. You don't have to spoil it then for the listeners. I will. Mm-hmm. It's not that. I'm not dying to know. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, everything is explained. Everything is also going to get much weirder. And, yeah. Along the way, a samurai zombie that laughs like Brook also starts following them. And the rest of the crew continues traveling on the island. Robin notes that the monsters have injuries and numbers on them and comes to the conclusion that someone has been making these zombies. That is when they come across more of the ghosts in the forest who say negative all the time and who are immune to attacks. And when they pass through people, those people become incredibly depressed, which, big mood. The negative ghosts, or the negative hollows, as we're going to find out they're called, are excellent. They keep on moving once the depression passes, and they make their way to the graveyard. When the zombies start to rise, Luffy and the others are nonplussed and just smack them around. We get the great gif of Luffy just pushing a zombie back into the ground, which is excellent. And then back in the castle, Nami, Usopp, and Chopper find Dr. Hogback and Sindri working in the secret lab on a new zombie when the mysterious samurai zombie Ryuma finds them, and that is where we end these episodes.
How long are the arcs on One Piece? Like, how much of this arc did I watch?
They get progressively longer, because it used to be, like, maybe 10 or so episodes. We are going to be in Thriller arc. We started with 337 all the way through 381. So that's
Jesus.
like 40 episodes and change. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
But then immediately after that is like a 3-episode filler arc and then another short arc. So
okay.
It's going to go wild. Hog wild even. Because we haven't even seen the big bad yet.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm,
what?
Mm-hmm. The unknown, or the unnamed master of the island.
So the doctor wasn't...
No.
Huh, okay. All right.
Janine, is this your first time through One Piece?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is a lot of this. A lot of this podcast is just like a lot of set up for Luke just ominously telling me some bullshit, and I'm just gonna have to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Blink twice if you are being held hostage.
We can't hear blinks on the radio, Janine.
That's true. Put a link to DeviantArt Predator porn in the chat on Glencaster if you're being held hostage.
All right, and then we have 10 characters who we are going to be matching for this episode. So are you all ready?
I'm so ready.
I got my list open.
And I have my list open, and I have our listeners' suggestions in another window, and I was just like, oh fuck, I didn't post those in, but I've got them on hand. So up first we have Brook. He's going to join the pirates at a point, so pretty important. My Rodrigo style, and Rodrigo style, for those who are new to the show, is characters who appeared in the episodes of The Simpsons that we watched for this one. My Rodrigo style is 90s Weird Al, who I'd say is sufficiently different than the Weird Al that we got in Three Gays in the Condo.
I like the Weird Al pick. I will admit that I considered that as well, mostly because of the hair. Weird Al doesn't have an afro, but he does have the big curly hair, so I could see it. Plus, both musicians.
Yeah, and he's also very familiar. The other two suggestions that I had were Rich Uncle Skeleton, who is an obscure character, but I love saying Rich Uncle Skeleton. And then there was the Sideshow Bob skeleton from the one where he marries Selma. Janine, who do you have as your picks for Brook?
All right, so I have a good amount in here. So, number one, going with the skeleton, Angel Skeleton, had to get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started going up with a couple of entertainers. So I got Jimi Hendrix, and I have James Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went up for another skeleton. I also threw down Rich Uncle Skeleton, but those aren't the ones that I'm like I have the most for.
Yeah.
I also have down Sideshow Mel.
Mm-hmm.
Sideshow Raheem.
Uh-huh.
And finally, my favorite and yours, Fidel Castro.
Oh.
A lot of these other names I only have like one name for. I just like really just like front loaded on Brook.
No, that's fair. I mean, you get to the Brook buffet and it's like hard not to fill up on bones. Dalton, who do you have for Brook?
Just to clarify, perhaps I misunderstood the assignment. I went through and only cast these from characters from the two Simpsons episodes we watched.
Oh, that is perfectly fair. That's Rodrigo's style, named after comic artist Rodrigo Vargas, who also thought that was the assignment and did that whole thing and then proceeded to get a bunch of points. Same with our last guest on the show, Claire, who also did the same thing and got a bunch of points.
Okay, so I have one pick for each person, and they are all from these two episodes of The Simpsons.
You got it.
So for Brook, I was really, once I finished One Piece, these 6 episodes, I was worried I wouldn't be able to cast these characters. But then I started E Pluribus Wigum, and right at the beginning, we have a shot where Homer destroys Fast Food Boulevard, and then we have a big town hall meeting, and on the stage are 4 different fast food mascots.
Yes.
And I said, oh, there they are. There's everybody. There's the whole gang. I'm saved, actually. This is actually so easy. There they are. So, my choice for Brook is Cheesy McMayer. Partially because of the fancy dress, but also because he laughs in a very similar way. He's sort of crying in The Simpsons when he does it, but he does have sort of a sorrowful, jolly laugh that he lets out.
Fascinating.
And he's also the only one who gets like a speaking role out of all these mascots, which seemed appropriate because Brook is sort of the biggest of the monster characters we sort of meet in this arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cheesy McMayer is a solid one, but also we have listener suggestions.
Yes.
Regular artist for the show, Mike Patton, suggests either Otto or Disco Stew. David from the Shonen Flop podcast suggested Krusty the Clown. That One Welder Guy suggested Handsome Pete, and Reverse Eye Patch also suggested the Mall Angel. So we have a lot of options here, and
I think Disco Stew is a really solid suggestion. I was again trying to pick from only new Simpsons characters. But yeah, I those are all good picks.
Well, Janine and I both have Rich Uncle Skeleton on. And I mean, that is very much Brook's vibe, except that he does not have the hair. Like, Rich Uncle Skeleton is no longer allowed to run the company. Rich Uncle Skeleton has been removed from political office because of some posts that he made and some comments that he has made. We are going to cancel Rich Uncle Skeleton.
Can I interest you in a Sideshow Mel? He does come with a bone.
True. Very true.
But
have you not cast Sideshow Mel already?
We have not. A lot of characters end up being held off for other purposes.
Tell Dalton what it's called.
Because of the Ooter pile.
The what?
The Ooter pile. Do you know Ooter Zorker, the little German boy?
I do not.
He is one of Bart's classmates. He initially shows up in.
Oh yes, I didn't know his name. Yes, I know the little later Hosen boy.
My marzipan yum yums. Yeah.
Yes.
So because I have been so precious about preserving Ooter, we have created what is known as the Ooter pile, where we want to save certain characters, including Ooter, for a better fit. Technically, based on how many times he's come up, we could call it the Fidel Castro pile, but that has a very different meaning.
I think it's just a Janine thing just to keep on trying to get you to agree to put Fidel Castro in a place where he shouldn't be. And the thing is, one of these days I'm going to win.
You will. You will. We're getting closer to Castro times every day, every hour, every minute. It's the Castro countdown.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's the Big the Cat theme music.
What is Fidel Castro but Big the Cat for the real world? They both love baseball. All right. I mean, we have a lot of choices. Rich Uncle Skeleton is one that appears on both. Sideshow Mel is not crude or rude enough, in my opinion.
Okay.
Like, he is highfalutin.
How about this? Jimi Hendrix definitely is one of the big suggestions I have here that is a musician.
And there is very Hendrix-esque art of Brook smoking blunts.
That fucking rules, dog. Let's go ahead and just get Jimmy up on it and give me the point, and we don't gotta think about it too hard.
You're really trying to push through Jimi Hendrix, Janine.
Also, I have been smoking a little bit of weed myself, so I'm just feeling extra groovy about Jimmy, baby.
He wasn't just a weed man, Janine. He played the national anthem too long.
Yeah, you do that on weed. Come on.
He made a cover of a Bob Dylan song that's more popular than the Bob Dylan version. Shit, I just talked myself into it by saying he left his dog behind at the vet. Dalton, can you groove with Jimi Hendrix? I mean, also we're going to need to have Mike figure out what a skeletal Jimi Hendrix would look like.
Awesome is what it would look like.
It would look like Brook. So, you know, I think that's a solid case right there.
All right. Janine, it sounds like you've got your Jimi Hendrix as Brook. Up next, we've got the Invisible Man, Absalom. Janine, who do you have for this shitty man?
I have, to be honest, I really didn't think of anybody. For a placeholder, I just had the Serpent from the Bartman Begins section of Revenge is a Dish Best Served 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I got. I mean, I told you, I front-loaded Brook. And it paid off. It really did.
I mean, yeah.
But I am willing to eat it on Absalom.
So who did you have, Dalton?
So as I said, I saw the row of Fast Food Boulevard mascots, and I said, those are my guys. And so for Absalom, I've gone with the hot dog pirate from presumably Captain Corndog's Schnitzel Palace for a couple reasons. One, he is a pirate, and I believe at a certain point, doesn't the Invisible Man have an eye patch or something? Don't we see... Maybe I dreamed that, but I feel like at some point we do see the Invisible Man with an eye patch. But if not, I feel like the phallic imagery of the hot dog is enough to justify him stepping in for the sexual assaulting Invisible Man.
So here is a fun note that Janine is going to see in the future. We have seen what the Invisible Man's face used to look like, said Luke, posting an image into the chat.
Let's see here.
What?
I have posted the picture of the lion that has Absalom's face in the middle of the lion.
Oh my god, I hated this thing.
I was confused because when you put Absalom on here and I kept Googling Absalom to see, I was like, who was that? I was like, I don't recognize this guy. I don't know who that is.
We only see him in the shadows. So my Rodrigo style was Stefan August because he sucks in different ways. He did not do a sexual assault, but I just hate that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. My other picks, I had a throwback of the Invisible Man, who we see briefly, and there's also the Invisible Carl, who is a joke in one of the Treehouse of Horrors next to the 40-foot tall Lenny.
Those are all good picks. I want to fight for Hot Dog Pirate.
I've got a better one for Hot Dog Pirate that I want to save Hot Dog Pirate for.
You're saving Hot Dog Pirate?
Are you sure? Because...
In this episode, yeah.
Buddy, I do like the idea of just making this guy, no matter what the fuck he looks like, it's just a big weenie.
Yeah.
That is cathartic to me.
He's a pirate weenie. What else could you want?
It speaks to me, Luke.
I got impaired,
Give
and I
Dalton
think
the weenie.
I think.
And my cat is named Weenie.
Oh, that's adorable.
But has Weenie interrupted this podcast?
He's trying. He's been knocking at the door and meowing at me, sadly.
Luke, what do we got to do to get a weenie in Edgewise?
Okay, I think we can table Absalom until I've had my chance to make my other argument. We can table him for now. Up next, we have Cerberus, the original dog from hell. Dalton, who do you have for Cerberus?
For Cerberus, I may have gone a little off script here, but I have the members of Sadgasm who are not Homer. So I believe that's 90s Lenny, 90s Carl, and who else was in Sad? Who?
Officer Lou.
Officer Lou, yes. So I have, the remaining 3 members of Sadgasm, because they're just kind of there, and they are accessories to the more important character.
Fair.
And also, there's 3 of them.
It is weird that Lou was just in there as like a third person because they couldn't put Barney into a R&B group.
Yeah. Yeah.
My Rodrigo style is Amy Rose. I do not want to use Amy Rose here. I just couldn't think of a better pick. My throwback is the Bully Cerberus from the Hell House episode that we had. And then my other one that I had, just to get another one, was the dog from the Lastest Gun in the West.
Mm.
Janine, who do you have?
I also had the Bully Cerberus,
Mm-hmm.
but also when I was sitting here, I just had another thought that would also be good, I think, and that was the I can't think about it because I'm so fucking high right now. But it was a Pet Boys ripoff that they did,
The Zip Boys.
the Zip Boys that they did in, like, was it Guidopolis or something?
Yeah, the Guidopolis Zip Boys.
Yes.
I just went to Pet Boys yesterday. This is so fortuitous.
And for those of you at home saying, didn't you already use the Zip Boys? No, we used a different set of them from a Halloween special for the Baskerville. I mean, we have a literal fucking Cerberus here. We have the Bully Cerberus. I feel like the Bully Cerberus is... We are not going to have a better time to use that.
True.
All right. You're the one that would know.
We then have Hildon, the weird little vampire freak boy. And my picks for this weird little vampire freak boy is I had the big and tall Halloween costume model who's a chunky little vampire boy. My throwback is Butch Patrick, actor. And then my other pick that I had was Bart when he gets turned into a vampire from Bart Simpson's Dracula.
I have a feeling this arc is going to be a lot of pulling from Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least
As it
the
should
old
be.
Treehouse. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's going to be another batch of... There's another arc in like 3 years of our show where it's going to be like, oh, well, we can use all the ones from the island of Dr. Hibbert because it's furry land. But we aren't there yet. Janine, who do you have for Hilton?
Adam West. No other names.
Dalton, what about you?
So for Hilden, I went with 90s comic book guy. We see him on the quad at Marge's college in that 90s show. And Hilden's just kind of a little dick. You know, he's just kind of annoying and he leaves them, you know, high and dry in the little carriage thing. And yeah, I just thought he had a comic book guy vibe.
I kind of vibe with that.
Yeah, with 90s comic book guy?
Yeah. Janine, how do you feel about 90s comic book guy?
Sorry, did you say Adam West?
No, that's the weed. That's the weed talking.
I'm good with 90s comic book guy too. Yeah, they got the same kind of vibes.
All right. We then have MacDonald and Unigaro. MacDonald is a tree with a human face and arms and legs on it. And Unigaro is a really fucked up looking unicorn. And I'm treating these two as a pair because they are friends. I think they go on all sorts of adventures together. And this is where my Rodrigo style comes in because my MacDonald is the ice cream cone widow. And the Unigaro is where I had hot dog pirate. Because ice cream and hot dogs go together like tree men and fucked up unicorns.
Well, I can't argue with that logic.
I'm a man of science, Dalton. My other picks for MacDonald were I had Camouflage Millhouse from where he thinks that he can be like the Cheshire Cat and disappear into only being a face, and Makeup Skinner. I don't entirely. Oh, that's because Skinner thought that he had his camouflage, and instead he just took his mother's makeup. And then my other picks for Unigaro were the Purple Horse from The Man Who Knew Too Little and the Garden of Eden Unicorn. Janine, who do you have for these two?
Well, for McDonald, I have the Springfield Shelbyville lemon tree. After it gets fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And like half of it's just branches.
Mm-hmm.
And I also had another pick for McDonald that is the big tree that's shaped like a T that Malloy said that he buried treasure under. There wasn't any treasure under there. Or there was, you just had to dig deeper.
Mm-hmm. Malloy making another return. We're big Malloy heads.
And for Unigaro, I only had one pick, and that's Billy the Kid's horse from the Right to Scare Arms segment in Treehouse of Horror. I think it's 13.
Mm-hmm.
That's an undead horse, I thought.
Yeah. Dalton, who are you working with for McDonald and Unigaro?
So I'll admit that my McDonald is a little weak. I, again, was trying to just pick from new characters, and I really wanted to get Weird Al Yankovic in here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with Weird Al because he's got a big smile. The McDonald kind of has big hair, except it's leaves and branches. They just kind of seem to have a similar jolly vibe. But for Unigaro, I went with Stefan August. And the reason for that is because if Stefan August were real and on the apps, you know he would be a unicorn hunter. That guy absolutely unicorn hunter vibes from this man out the roof. And so I had to do him for Unigaro.
Sorry, that is a term I am unfamiliar with.
A unicorn hunter is someone, it's a couple usually, who are hunting for a third to have a threesome with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he absolutely has, like, me and Marge saw you from across the bar and liked your vibe kind of energy.
100% dead on with this motherfucker.
Okay. Oh. All right. I still like using Ice Cream Widow and Hot Dog Pirate here, but it sounds like we have some debate. So,
Look, I will not defend my choice of Weird Al Yankovic for McDonald. I admit that's weak. And Stefan as Unigaro is maybe a little more high concept. He's not exactly a one-to-one, but I think it's a strong connection.
Janine, how are you feeling? How are your vibes?
I feel very strongly about making McDonald a tree.
Uh-huh.
I think I have some pretty decent tree choices.
You do.
I'm fine not having Unigaro be a horse if we went with Stefan. I don't know. I'm seeing the vision of Stefan, but I'm like, I could also at this point in it be talked out of it. But I also kind of don't want to. I don't know. I'm in a very weird spot. I mean...
Okay, so because I can picture the art, I have a famous Luke compromise. So, what I'm willing to do is, for Absalom, we do Hot Dog Pirate. For McDonald, we do the Springfield Shelbyville Lemon Tree. And then for Unigaro, we do the Garden of Eden Unicorn.
I love it.
Janine, can you rock with that?
All right, we'll go with that.
And now we're just going to have a bunch of people being like, oh, well, when we get to see that fight, they just get to imagine a hot dog that can turn invisible. Beautiful. Beautiful. We make art here. We make dreams come true, and not all dreams are good.
All hot dogs can turn invisible when they're sitting on a plate in front of me.
Janine really popped for that one.
That was adorable.
Up next, we have Victoria Sindri. Janine, who do you have for Sindri?
Zombie Marge from the Zombie Couch Gag from Treehouse of Horror 4, I think.
Mm-hmm. Dalton, what about you?
This is where I put Ice Cream Widow. I thought, first of all, the hair, very similar to the vanilla ice cream. Also, the tragic backstory, which presumably Ice Cream Widow also has.
I mean, I don't think that she is stealing valor by pretending to be a widow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She probably lost her husband in the explosion on Fast Food Boulevard.
Mr. Sunday, R.I.P.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's his name.
Yeah.
All right. My Rodrigo style is 90s Luann, because 90s Luann also has the hair.
Mm-hmm. She does.
Mm-hmm. My throwback is Sarah Sloan, famous actress who we have not used yet. And then the other one that I had was the female actress from The Thing That Ate Everyone, where Homer and Bart are like, it ate everyone, stupid. Just trying to find another actress for the role. Janine as
a person who's very turned on by middle-aged women.
How are you feeling?
Very turned on by middle-aged women, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I really want to push for Zombie Marge. Not for horny reasons this time. I don't know. I just if there is no other time to use zombie versions of The Simpsons, if it's not this time, then when would it be?
Janine, this is the first episode of the zombie arc. Do we need a zombie Ooter pile? Like, we have not yet begun to zombie.
Oh my god. I say I knew what I was getting into when I got into this podcast. I try to assure people that, that I'm fine with everything, but there are just some moments that it's not regret. It's just kind of it's the daunting wall of anime that's just right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of sucked a little bit, like these past few episodes. Like, not enough to get me to turn off, but it's like, I'm gonna trust your word that it gets better, because if it's more episodes like some of these, I don't know. That's more zombies. We haven't even explained why they're zombies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna get that soon.
And we're gonna have more of them, and then they're gonna have names, because this motherfucker likes to name everybody, huh?
And most of them also have birthdays.
What?
Yeah.
Why is that important? They no longer can have birthdays. They've reached the death. They should be having death days. Anyway, Zombie Marge.
Dalton, what way are you feeling? I'm on team 90s Luann, just because of the hair and the attitude. She would chuck plates at 90s Kirk.
I can get down with 90s Luann. I think, I'm not as familiar with Zombie Marge, but it does sound like you're going to have a lot of zombies coming up. And so I think maybe it's more important to cast someone who's serving cunt right now.
We can't do this again, Dalton. That was our last episode's opening.
Oh no. Well, I would say 90s Luann qualifies in that manner.
Mhm.
Her vacation fit is she's she's serving a look, and so I support that.
Janine, can you roll with that?
Sure.
Compromise is part of the game. We then have Dr. Hogback. He fucking sucks. Dalton, who do you have for Dr. Hogback?
This is who I saved the big and tall Halloween costumes mascot for. I just think they are visually a perfect match. And Hogback sucks, and I think he deserves a just brief throwaway gag character.
Fair. My Rodrigo style was Dennis Kucinich.
Sure.
It was just I can't figure out someone else. Dennis Kucinich, I have no beef with you, Denny. You know it. We're good. I also had on this Rocky Horror Dr. Hibbert. And also Herb Powell, because Herb Powell was played by Danny DeVito. Hogback was inspired, and also both of them are very smart and make poor choices and make atrocities at times. Janine, who do you have for Hogback?
Speaking of creating atrocities, I have Zombie Einstein.
Excellent. And then Reverse Eye Patch suggested Dr. Hibbert from the Island of Dr. Hibbert as their suggestion.
That particular one does seem pretty good. I mean, that it feels like that's the kind of shit that's going on in this island, but I don't want to call it yet because apparently there could be a whole other reason, because we haven't even circled back to the motherfucker that steals your shadow.
But I actually I think I like Rocky Horror Dr. Hibbert because of the fishnets, because of the Rocky Horror seeming influence, and that he's a doctor, that does seem like a good fit. As much as I love big and tall Halloween costumes guy.
Yeah, I think Rocky Horror Hibbert is a better fit because there will be better opportunities. There's almost always another opportunity. One Piece, it's long. Janine, can you roll with Rocky Horror Hibbert?
Sure. Yeah. That's a good one.
Especially because Hogback himself is not a zombie.
Like I could tell.
I mean, you don't see any scars on him. Well, I guess there's the big scar around his face. But we then have Bowie Chuck, who is a pig's head and arms mounted on a wall like a trophy. He is part of the surprise zombies. And when we say random ass characters have names, Dalton, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
My Rodrigo style was that Sideshow Mel trash can.
Sure.
My throwback was the Garden of Eden pig that you can just pull meat off of its body. And then I also had the Lenny that gets turned into a pig when they do the Odyssey. Janine, who do you have?
I have Harry Plopper from the Simpsons movie.
Of course.
And Dalton.
I have the Chili Blasters mascot. The man who appears to be a sentient being made of chili who is wearing a sash for some reason.
God.
Chili Blasters.
I'm horrified to say there's going to be a better fit for a character who is exactly that in One Piece.
Oh my god, is there a chili fruit?
You know what? I think Harry Plopper is a cultural icon, and he deserves this spot. Harry Plopper really really became a force of nature when the Simpsons movie came out. And if we're
Yeah.
gonna have a pig, feels like it should be him.
Yeah, we can use Harry Plopper here. I mean, we also still have access to Spider Pig as well, so I'm good to burn Harry Plopper.
Awesome.
And then up last, we have Ryuma, the mysterious skeleton who also laughed like Brook. What is up with that? Dalton, who do you have for Ryuma?
Medieval Flanders, from the Medieval Couch Gag. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't really sure who this guy was, but I saw that he had a sword, and so Medieval Flanders it is.
We are going to find out more about him in future episodes. My Rodrigo style here was Cheesy McMayer. My throwback was Soccer Mummy. And then I also just put Rich Uncle Skeleton here as well. Janine, how about you?
I have Count of Monte Cristo Homer from Revenge is a Dish Best Served 3 Times.
Ooh.
I tried to find a Japanese character because Ryuma is a samurai, but we really haven't had any samurai yet in The Simpsons, or at least none of them that I really remembered or that have gotten enough screen time. So we have a few different options. I really like Soccer Mummy or Rich Uncle Skeleton. Dalton, how are you feeling?
I honestly think, this might be one for you to pick because you know more about this character. I feel like we barely get a glimpse of him, and so I don't know who's going to fit long term. So I don't know if I can make this call.
I mean, sometimes it is a call of the heart. Janine, how about you?
Vibes base. I do like the idea of the Count of Monte Cristo just for how mysterious the person is. I don't know if we're going to be able to have like such a revenge person that we could actually use a Count of Monte, or if this motherfucker puts the Count of Monte Cristo in some form inside of his story. Is that what Mihawk is? I don't know. See, I don't know anything about this. And I'm just kind of like just doing a cold shot right now. This is both my way of like throwing out something and maybe I'll get a point, maybe not. But I'm also fishing for information on potential future uses of a Count of Monte Cristo.
I mean, yeah, there's other things that we can use for Count of Monte Cristo for a character who has been completely disgraced and has made a complete turn back through revenge. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it sounds kind of like a vague story when you say it like that, but...
No, there's like a entire movie villain who that is his whole deal.
Oh, shit.
We'll eventually get to gold!
Now, Soccer Mummy is kind of hilarious.
Soccer Mummy also gets a dangerous erection, which will be somewhat relevant, and yeah.
What the fuck is happening in this arc?
Well, horniness is next to monsterness, so...
Honestly, I have always found that to be true.
I'm good to go with Soccer Mummy. Like I would put my weight behind Soccer Mummy.
All right, let's give it a Soccer Mummy.
All right. So, to run through these again, our Brook is Jimi Hendrix, our Absalom is Hot Dog Pirate, our Cerberus is the Bully Cerberus, our Hilden is 90s Comic Book Guy, our MacDonald is Shelbyville Springfield Lemon Tree, our Unigaro is Garden of Eden Unicorn, our Victoria Sindri is 90s Luann, our Hogback is Rocky Horror Hibbert, our Bowie Chuck is Harry Plopper, and our Ryuma is Soccer Mummy. Woo!
That's excellent. Pitch perfect casting. Great job, everybody.
Yes, I can't wait to see the covers. And then an ironic thing happened because we took a few days to think about it, and it was kind of like, Jimi Hendrix is not going to be a good choice for Brook. I, specifically Luke, was not thinking about, like, a lot of things. Like, you think about Jimi Hendrix's dog as a Simpsons gag more than Jimi Hendrix himself, and he wouldn't make a recognizable skeleton. And so what we ended up doing is holding a post-episode poll on the Discord where we put Jimi Hendrix up against Sideshow Mel, because Sideshow Mel is iconic. Sideshow Mel, as Brook, can have that bone in his hair. Sideshow Mel can be a bit of a freak. And while there is a really good Laboon joke, and hey, Janine has totally forgotten about Laboon, and I don't spoil it for her. Yeah, like it's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time. But yeah, this is Luke editing the episode almost an entire week later to say, Sideshow Mel is Brook. We put the vote to you, the people. So, democracy saved us. All right. Dalton, where can people find you online and all the things that you do?
So many places. You can follow me on social media at Dalton Deschain. Deschain is spelled D-E-S chain. I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. You can listen to my podcast, Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe, with Dylan Roth, where we are continuing the dark universe that began with the Tom Cruise Mummy movie in 2017. Basically, we take that movie as canon and have built an entire Marvel Cinematic Universe out of it. And we have lots of guests on to pitch movies as well. My band, Dalton Deschain and the Traveling Show, we have a new EP coming out this fall, but you can find our previous music on streaming services. And of course, Luke's favorite, the B69s, where I cover modern pop songs in the style of the B52s. We are also on streaming services and YouTube, and yeah. I think that's all. The Monocle is my comic. You can find that at monocle.com, MONOCUL, but that is kind of on hiatus since I don't really have time, given that I'm writing movies for my podcast.
And once again, like all of Dalton's stuff, I have really enjoyed. This is a earnest appeal for you to go and check that out. And then you can also find out about the secrets of Rat Hands.
Yes, Luke's creation, Rat Hands, if you want to know more about this. So what Simpsons character would you cast as Rat Hands, Luke?
Bart, when he gets imagined as Rat Boy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And which One Piece character would you cast as Rat Hands?
Way down the line, we get really fucked up people with fucked up animal half powers, and one of those guys.
There we go. Rat Hands, not officially canon in the Dark Universe outside of a comic book appearance, but there is an entire Rat Hands screenplay that Luke has written that we did a reading of in our Discord.
Yes. It is a wonderful Discord where people actually say they want to write things, and then they write things.
And then everyone enjoys them. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I missed out on a movie reading tonight because I had to do this podcast. And last night we did Bram Stoker's Dracula Witch. That was not good. But I did get to rewatch and be like, oh, hey, these One Piece scenes are just like Bram Stoker's Dracula. So Oda sometimes steals things from other people. Janine, where can you be found online?
You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Janine Juliet. On Instagram, sometimes Janine is dope. I also have another podcast, Wrestle Girlies, that I do with the beautiful artist Flighty Butless. I gotta update it. I have an episode ready that I'm editing, and I'm just bad at posting it up. As is the birth of a lot of small weird projects. Anyway, I'm rambling. Luke, where do people find you if they want to make the mistake in finding you?
I mean, if you scream my name long enough, you can find me. I'll eventually get to you. But you can find me on most forms of social media that I'm still active on as Coltreg. That's KOLTREG. I have a website, lukehair.com. I have a itch.io, coltreg.itch.io, where you can see comics that I've written. And I have a bunch of comics actually coming out this year. And by the time this comes up, it will be announced that I'm going to be tabling at CXC in Columbus, Ohio, which,
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah, I am very excited for that with my Finnish collaborator, Sri. So we are jazzed to do that. And this is the only podcast I do currently. There's also on typically the first Wednesday of every month that sort of secret One Piece actual play show that I run, which we are bad at promoting, but it has names, and you're always going to be like, wait, why are they doing a show and not promoting it? And the answer is, ah. Also, shout out to our cover artist, Mike Patton, who you can find most places at Patton Pending, PattenPending. Mike does great jobs on these covers, and you should go and hire him to either animate your shows or draw strange mashups for you. DohMance Dawn updates every other week on Mondays. And we're also on most social media, so our levels of activity are in response to whatever activity we get. We also have a Discord that we will occasionally promote on our Blue Sky. That is going to wrap us up for next week. That is going to wrap us up for this week. We'll be back in 2 more weeks as we figure out what is going on with the zombies and we get the stakes to be raised. And also, we have to cancel Nami. We'll see you then. Smooth sailing.